Gamers can be pathetic, they can be whiny, they often get angry at the most pointless things. For example, a pride flag in a Spider-Man game, or power-saving consoles, or even Aloy having hair on her face, which is one of the greatest self-owns gamers have ever done, because it proves that they've never been close enough to a real woman to see that indeed all humans have hair on their faces. Now, I'm being reductive, I know. Obviously, this is not all gamers, not even most gamers. I myself am a dedicated gamer. It is my #1 hobby, and gaming is a hobby shared by millions around the world, maybe even billions. And within a community that large, there is bound to be some weird ones. A certain type of gamer that makes the rest of us gamers die from cringe, and makes non-gamers look down on gaming, which ultimately is very annoying. However, while most gamers I'd say are just fine and aren't whiny little bitches, there is still a significant number of vocal gamers, especially online, who will get angry about anything, especially what they deem to be woke. Now, if you've been living under a rock, or you just have a life outside of Twitter, then you might not have heard about Sweet Baby Inc. But if you've been somewhat connected to online spaces, then you'll know that this is the newest source of all evil. An evil that is corrupting and destroying gaming as we know it, and therefore also Hollywood and Western culture in general. At least that's what some people are saying. Now, is there truth to this outrage? Does this company force developers to add diversity and political messages against their will? Or is this situation way overblown? Well, this whole thing started because a group on Steam called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected had been noticed by the company because they were pointing out the games that Sweet Baby Inc. had been involved in to avoid wokeness and DEI sentiments. The group has a lot of members, and the Discord server is also significant. But basically, Sweet Baby Inc. pointed out this group, and that's where the controversy started, with people on both sides claiming online harassment and abuse. And you can have your issues with this, I think that's perfectly fine. I personally don't like the idea of there being a group dedicated to pointing out games to be avoided on the sole basis of them being woke, because I think anti-woke arguments tend to be very weak, especially when it comes to gaming, and they don't add anything of value. But still, outing the Twitter profiles of some of the members of the group is probably not the best move. And there's a lot of nuance to this sparking incident, which I want to go further in depth with in a future video after I've seen more from the various sides. However, this video is more a general perspective on the wider sentiment against Sweet Baby Inc. and what the company stands for. Let's now take a look at what Sweet Baby Inc. actually is. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy, and check out my memberships if you're feeling a little bit spicy today. Now, essentially, Sweet Baby Inc. is a consultation firm that is hired by game developers to help with narrative design, with a special focus on representation and inclusion. If you don't know what consultation work is, there is a great Twitter thread from a game developer who's currently the narrative director for the upcoming Wolverine game and who has worked with Sweet Baby Inc. before. She states that it starts with a dev team has an idea, maybe they already have an outline of their story and a core gameplay loop, maybe they've got a whole script and a playable build. Either way, something is missing. Could be a number of things. A character feels underbaked, maybe a whole faction, the backstory of a map has weak world building, and no one on the team has time to do the research and brainstorming to make it cool. This is where you call Sweet Baby Inc. And the next part is very important. Narrative consultants do not get the final say, and they don't override the core dev team. It doesn't get into the final game if the developers don't approve it. Basically, Sweet Baby do their research, they pitch ideas, they give feedback, and sometimes even write scripts, but nothing gets into the game unless the dev team agrees. Sweet Baby is not, nor is any consulting group, coming in to wreck games. They're helping smooth out plots and deepen characters. We can absolutely discuss whether or not they do a good job, but this is what they do. They ease the burden on the core narrative team. They're additive in every way. If the dev team disagrees with anything, then it doesn't make it into the final game. Simple as that. She ends this thread with saying that if you have beef, it's with us, keep it with us. And obviously this is not to say that you should go harassing developers instead of Sweet Baby Inc. Rather, you shouldn't harass any of them. But you also shouldn't put the blame for you not liking Spider-Man 2 and it being woke on Sweet Baby Inc. because they were simply hired to do a job. They didn't cause the layoffs, they didn't cause Suicide Squad to be such a mess, and they also didn't cause God of War Ragnarok to be a great game. They helped, they consulted, they did their job. They absolutely should not be blamed for making games woke when it's the game developers who are hiring them to make their games more inclusive and representative. The studios want their games to be more woke, otherwise they wouldn't hire Sweet Baby. To make this point even harder, here's one of the directors of Alan Wake 2 shutting down this tweet that said, "The prevailing theory is that if it weren't for Sweet Baby Inc., Saga Anderson would have been portrayed by a white woman." Is that true? Well, it's impossible to say, but does it matter? Melanie LeBurd did a great job on the role. To which Kyle here responded, it's absolutely not true. Again, consultation companies offer consultation. Even if you think certain people in the company have acted in bad ways and toxic ways, which we will look at in a future video, it's still an incredible stretch to claim that Sweet Baby Inc. is forcing game companies to make woke games and forcing a narrative on the community as a whole. There's especially one thing that's really annoying when it comes to this whole Sweet Baby Inc. situation, and that's just how selective people are being with their arguments. You've all heard about Suicide Killed the Justice League, the game that has created a lot of backlash for killing Batman and the other Justice League members, and it's no secret that the game is performing incredibly poorly and is generally considered a massive failure. Sure enough, Sweet Baby Inc. did provide consultation work to this game with regards to the script writing. Yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. may have worked on Kill the Justice League, which was a massive disaster, and other poorly received games like Gotham Knights and Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, but they also did work on games like Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, and God of War Ragnarok. 3 massively successful and very well received games of the last couple of years. Here they worked on things like character arcs, narrative, and story. And if we're attributing the failure of Suicide Squad to the woke Sweet Baby company, shouldn't we then also attribute the success of God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, and Alan Wake 2 to the woke Sweet Baby Inc. as well? That sounds fair to me. However, naturally, we shouldn't be attributing the failures or successes of any of these games to Sweet Baby Inc. because again, they're not the developers, they're not in charge. They're consultants who are hired to provide feedback and suggestions. They have no final say about anything in these games. The developers come to Sweet Baby Inc. because perhaps they have a character from a certain ethnic or cultural background, or one of their factions is based on a specific culture and they ask for help to bring nuance to these aspects. Sweet Baby Inc. does research and gives their suggestions, which the developers can choose to ignore. Nothing that Sweet Baby Inc. does is final. They don't have the studios on leashes, forcing them to go woke against their will. To think that is ridiculous. However, some people are now being revisionist about some of the games, trying to pretend that a game like God of War Ragnarok was actually a bad game this whole time, which is insane and absolutely an opinion in the minority. Naturally, whether someone likes or dislikes a game is completely up to them. After all, enjoyment is subjective, but to try and insinuate that God of War Ragnarok was a bad game, when it not only was very successful both financially and critically, and was also widely acknowledged by the greater gaming community as a fantastic game, is insane. It's the same with Alan Wake 2, a game that did some truly innovative things with its story and gameplay, having a unique narrative that won Best Narrative at the Game Awards. It has sold very well, allowing Remedy to accelerate some of their other projects. To call this game a failure and to insinuate that Sweet Baby Inc. could be the culprit would be incredibly false. This situation has gotten so much attention that massive figures like Elon Musk and Matt Walsh have gotten into it, attributing Sweet Baby Inc. to the greater culture war. I might have to do a couple response videos to some of these guys like Matt Walsh and even asmongold, because it's really important to push back against bad arguments that are unfounded and that only exist to add fuel to an already existing culture war, especially when the focus on Sweet Baby Inc. in no way will help improve the gaming industry, because this is not helping gamers. Listen, as a guy who plays a lot of video games, I admit that there are a lot of issues within the industry. Things like microtransactions, unfinished games, crunch, bloated budgets, layoffs, etc. But situations like these take attention away from what these real issues are and instead place the blame on companies like Sweet Baby Inc. or women not being sexually stimulating enough. or just the vague concept of wokeness? As we've gone over in this video and previous videos, these arguments are bullshit. Sure, you can find examples of games that have woke elements and done poorly, had bad writing, or just kinda sucked, but you can just as easily find games with woke elements that are massive successes with almost universal praise. Just like with Sweet Baby Inc., who yes, have worked on Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights, but who also worked on God of War Ragnarok and Alan Wake 2. Focusing your rage on these things with weak arguments rather than on executive greed and control, crunch, bloated budgets, unfinished games, and other meaningful issues within the gaming industry is doing nothing more than fuel a culture war prone to bigotry. And it takes away from genuine criticism that could help make the gaming landscape better. This whole Sweet Baby Inc. debacle is pointless when there isn't any evidence of some greater conspiracy. It adds nothing of value to the conversation. All it does is make us gamers fight amongst each other and anyone else who gets pulled in due to the culture war, rather than fighting back as a united front against the higher-ups who could make significant changes to the industry we all love. Every day that we're focusing on Sweet Baby Inc., we're allowing these greedy executives to keep fucking up future games. But I guess all I can do for now is try to point out this problematic nature of these controversies. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, then be sure to leave a like and check out my memberships. It really helps out more than you know. Also, be sure to leave your comments down below. This was more of an overview of the situation, but I want to go more in depth. This video is not supposed to be pro Sweet Baby Inc., but rather I want to promote that we back up our claims, because so far there just isn't enough evidence to even insinuate that this company is the downfall of gaming. But if you have any examples that I've missed, both for and against Sweet Baby Inc., then I'd love to read them. I don't believe that Sweet Baby Inc. haven't done anything wrong, and I'd love to go into that, so let me know down below. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day, stay safe, and peace out.